So this is Game of My Friends. Today is my special guest, Miss Berlin Liew. Say hi.
Hi.
Berlin has been a long-time friend, especially in Melbourne. I think we grew quite close here. Even though we've known each other in high school, I think Melbourne was the place where we really got close to each other.
I think we met when we were 15, and then we forgot we met when we were 15 until we re-met at 17, 18 again.
For those who might know both of us, I think we met at a tuition center called Top School.
Yes.
My God, that was like a while ago.
Yes, definitely half a lifetime ago.
Today, I'm playing a game called Internet Scrabble Club.
All right.
Am I supposed to go first?
Maybe you are?
It's hard to chat and...
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well can we multitask and think about
think what we need to put on our words? Yeah, sure. Sure, I'll go... we'll just play it by ear. Doesn't have to be competitive. I give you an easy one. Gate.
Oh my gosh, as if I don't even have anything I can play with.
Come on, I give you an A and an E, and that should be easy.
Okay, let's just try this. And if you... Oh, wait, press done. Okay, cool.
Cool.
I can do this.
Okay. Oh boy.
Alright, so everybody who's watching, clearly both Isa and Berlin do not have multitasking capabilities when
Exactly.
it comes to game. Whoa, that was fast.
I'm gonna have to ask you questions while you think about what words to put down.
Right? Otherwise this would be way too difficult.
Yeah. Again, let's not overthink it. We'll just play it however.
Wow, this is hilarious. I'm really enjoying this. This is a really fascinating interface. I feel like
yeah, that's why I said it looks very old and janky, but it's
really
there we go. Here we go. There you go. Rants.
Oh, geez, that was good. I have to tell you, like, I have a confession to make about Scrabble.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell you until we started.
Until we literally just started.
Yes, but this will make the game more interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've played a proper game of Scrabble.
What?
A proper game of Scrabble. So, you know, like understanding what the dark blue, the pinks, the red, and the light blues mean, because I know they have points, but like I've never played a full game to fully understand the whole ecosystem of Scrabble ever. I probably played it for fun without really calculating points and whatnot. And I normally avoid Scrabble because I think I'm just really bad with, well, I say this as a timer is ticking down on me. I'm really bad with coming up with things like quickly. But for you, why not?
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you.
You're welcome. As I try to figure out what to put on this board.
That reminded me. I actually went to like a competitive school, like not even interstate. It's like inter-regional competition for Scrabble. Only because I joined like the English club in school. And they're like, wow. We need players for Scrabble. Who wants to go? I'm like, yeah, sure. I get to miss a day of school. Why not?
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. And
you good with it?
Oh god, no, I was horrible. I think our team lost like last or second to last.
I feel like Scrabble is definitely one of those games where if you play it when you're younger, you do amazing now. And I don't know why. I wonder if there's studies about this, because I know the English language relatively well. Yet if you put a Scrabble board in front of me with a bunch of letters in front of me, timer that's ticking down like exactly the one we have right now.
No stress.
I can't think. No, I know we're not, thank goodness we're not competing against each other, really. But I don't know why. My brain just freezes. It just can't function. And it sometimes does this in video games, which is kind of why I avoid it. But I wonder if I just keep practicing, will I get better at it?
It to me, it's kind of like improv or stand-up comedy. Like, sure, you could prepare it in your mind before you go on stage, but the moment you're on there, you're just like...
Yes, I can imagine that would be the case. But this is me trying. See, I'm trying to push myself every once in a while.
As everyone should. I'm spoiling a bit here, but I have a Z and I have no idea where to put it.
Yeah, that is really hard. I feel like actually harder than the Z, a Q is actually often really
Oh,
difficult too.
true.
Again, like we speak English, right? So I'm not saying that because we speak English we should totally know how this works, but I don't know what it is that makes it so difficult to think on the spot. We're also trying to have a conversation while thinking. I think this is really interesting.
It is. Like, it is racking my brain here a bit, trying to figure out what works with what. Oh, there we go. That's one word.
Okay. Yeah, no, I wonder whether also because we're trying to play something that involves words and letters and we're trying to talk to each other, feel like it's using the same of the brain, which is why we're really struggling to multitask. Whereas if we were playing another game that didn't use anything to do with words or language, would it be easier to focus? Kind of like listening to music while doing math. You can definitely listen to music, but if you were listening to music while writing an essay, it's really hard.
Oh yeah. Some other episode, but I did one episode with your sister Demi, and we played a game basically like Pictionary. It's called Drawsaurus. My god, trying to figure out what a person's drawing yourself while having a conversation, your brain just drops the conversation midway, and I'm like, what was I supposed to ask or answer? Oh, crit, that's a good one. Oof.
Was it? Do you know what? I wasn't even sure if that was a real English word because I use it, but I thought it was slang. I've had the C and the I and the T for a while, but I was like, oh dear, is that slang? And we've chosen like the UK dictionary, which is a little bit worrying.
Oh, here we go. That's one word. I realized looking at our board, we're just like hugging the bottom half.
We are. I'm gonna go up now. Wow, this is really challenging.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I had a question mark, so
so it was I mean, again, we're not counting points anyway, so no stress.
I have to also let you know, I've done a test of some sort to identify what you're really good at, like your strengths, your inner strengths. It's mainly for work, so that you understand how your professional self is like and what you can leverage in the workforce.
Cool.
And it ranks your strengths, right? So often people who do the test know their top strengths really well because that's what you want to focus on. Out of curiosity, I looked at my weaknesses, and one of my biggest weaknesses is competition.
Really?
Which explains a lot. My dislike for video games, or not even dislike, just if I'm put in a competition, it's like I'd be really happy if like you won over me. I just want to be friends with you, and I don't want to compete with you.
So it's more that your personality wise, when you did the test, it shows that you're just not that, I would say, competitive. Is that the right word? It just means you avoid competitions. Is that the thing?
Yeah, I do actually. Hold on, wait for it.
Okay, I'm gonna take my whoa.
I know. Wait for it.
Well done. Candle. Fill up the whole side there. Really? So, do you remember what's this test called? Like, how did you even find it?
So, it's called Gala Strengths. It identified my top strength being, the professional way of saying it is winning others over. So, it's a strength that refers to, you're really comfortable with strangers, you're good at talking to people, blah, blah, blah. My language, I would just say I'm really good at making friends. Yeah, it really was a good self-awareness exercise. Then when I looked at the weaknesses, competition was there, and I was like, this is why I rather just be friends with people instead of competing with them.
Okay, cool.
But I think it really helps that we're definitely not counting points.
Oh, I mean, just don't look at the top there. It does say the points, but
I shall not look.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to look.
Okay, cool. Don't worry about it. All right, that's interesting. I'm actually curious enough to try this test.
For like $30, and you get to know like your top 5 strengths, I think it's worth it. So, like in a day and age where we're constantly trying to figure out more about ourselves, I think it's a great exercise. It's not something that wholly explains who you are as a person, but it's just one thing to consider, right? Not like any personality test could reveal everything about you as a person.
Sure.
This is very challenging, having to think about
Ooh.
words while talking.
If you had an S there, you would have gotten that red square.
I know, which I don't.
So, okay, since you avoid competitive games, like, have you played any type of video games or games at all, like, growing up? Surely there was some exposure to video games.
There were. I really enjoy watching people play video games. I don't like playing it myself. I don't know why. I always suspected, other than the fact that I don't like competition, I get really into character. So if it's a game where there's a really bad person chasing you, and even though it's just a game, I really feel that fear.
That kind of like immersiveness.
Yes, and it's not even VR, right? I mean, we grew up with no VR, but I feel it. I really embrace visual storytelling. So when we're watching a film and someone is hurt, I can feel that hurt. And so gore often affects me because I like feel the knife going into someone's skin or whatever. I really could feel it. So I tend to avoid video games, especially if there's some level of like scariness in it. I can't disconnect the emotions to the action, even though it's all just a game. But I love watching people play it because I'm always curious about the storytelling behind the actual game.
Sure.
And I love anything to do with like horror story, but I would never play it. But I love the idea of it. So I think I once watched a YouTuber play Left 4 Dead for a while just to watch it all happen. But I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. I need to stand back and be a spectator.
Sure. I'm the same. Like, I tried to play horror games like Resident Evil, Silent Hills, those games. I get too immersed in the character that I feel like the moment they feel dread, like there's someone's chasing, my heart feels like someone's chasing you now. So I physically couldn't like handle it. I had to like step away. It's just like too much anxiety for me.
Absolutely, it is pretty intense. I mean, but you play lots of video games, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. But it's mostly like fantasy stuff really lately.
What are you playing now?
There's a game called Northgard, which is based on the Nordic history of the Viking Age, and you basically run your own, I don't know, is it colony? I'm not sure if it's the right word. And you're trying to conquer the land, take over the area, and it's based on the Nordic history. Yeah.
Is it one of those games that often takes days to finish?
Oh no, it's maybe like an hour or so. It's a kind of like a strategy game, and you control, like, you start off from this tiny little pocket of the island, and you're trying to grow and expand.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I would say, in terms of connecting people through the internet, you're probably some of the people, one of those people who are really good at it. For example, when you did that whole podcasting scribe thing where you draw and put notes based on the podcast and post it on LinkedIn, I love the fact that you managed to get in touch by them themselves getting back to you based on your posts. That's great.
Yeah, so I, during lockdown, started listening to podcasts. And then instead of just listening to a podcast and being like, yep, okay, I'm done, I would listen to a podcast and then write the notes from the podcast and draw it out, like visual storytelling, visual notes, I suppose. And yes, I posted it online, and the speakers were tagged in it and shared it themselves, which was really, really cool. I suppose I wasn't aiming for anything with that. I just wanted to share the work. Also, there's not a lot you can do when you're in lockdown, so this is really a test of our multitasking skills. Don't you think so?
It kind of. There's like, I'm trying to figure out a word, and then just about to like reply to what you said, and it's taking me, my brain's like, Do one or the other. Don't do both. And here we go. Okay, do you have like one particular one that it was your favorite visual?
I don't say like it's not my favorite visually, but I think I don't have a particular favorite. I've never chosen a favorite. But I listened to a podcast that really changed a bit of perspective for me, which was there's a woman called Shasta Nelson, and I hope I pronounced her name right. She wrote a book and then did this podcast with the Harvard Business Review on why it matters to have work friends. And she talks about what makes good work friendships and why is it important. I guess some people would think, I don't really want to make friends at work. I just want to go to work and do my job and go home, which is totally fine. I think, you totally respect those that want to just go to work, do the work, come home. But she argues that, 5 days out of the week, more or less, if you work full-time, you spend your hours with colleagues, not even your family, right?
Yep.
And so if you say have no one you can lean to at work, no one you can really talk to, or worse, if you had toxic people around you, it is really hard to ignore the fact that you are spending a big chunk of your week around that space and around that energy, right? So she speaks about why it's so beneficial to have healthy work friends, because you want to spend your time, your 5 days out of the week, surrounded by good energy, good people, right? You don't need to be BFFs with all of them, but having good work friends is vital to, your mental health, but also overall work satisfaction. And I just mentioned to you, my number one strength is making friends. So I totally saw eye to eye to this. But the part of the podcast that kind of expanded my understanding of this space was, she says there are certain foundations you need to make good friends with people. And it's amazing because as she broke it down, you listen to it thinking, this makes perfect sense. But if you were to come up with it yourself, it's really hard to identify.
Sure.
But the first thing she said is, you need to have consistency in your friendships. And that's why people make lots of friends in school, because you go to school every day, you go to the same classes. In fact, you may be in the same classroom every day. So even though you're going home from school and you see each other the next day, it's like you see these people 5 times a week, right? And consistency is like a big key of making friendships, which explains why, I guess, if you don't see people often enough, friendship is hard to form.
True.
But once you have a base of friendship, you don't see each other for a year and you reconnect, it's like nothing has changed. That's only made possible because you probably had a foundation of really good friendship between you and the other person. But if you're making friends for the first time, if you only see this person once a month, it's actually really hard to create a friendship with them. So she talks about consistency being like a big foundation. And then she talks about, building trust, opening up to people, once you see each other every day, getting comfortable with them to say, how was your weekend? How's your family? And so forth. And that opens up, more conversations that probably you wouldn't have necessarily with a stranger. And then the final one is positivity. So you can see someone really often at the office or at school or whatever. Ask them to open up and be vulnerable with you and build trust. But let's just say you're somebody that isn't very positive. It's really hard to want to be friends with this person, right? Because they could be opening up their lives to you, but they're just maybe toxic, right? Who knows? And that's still really hard. I see you every day. I open up to you, and you're not giving me any good energies. I think I'd be better off on my own.
Yeah, when they don't reciprocate, that's when it becomes like there's a barrier between you guys.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like I always reflect on it when I try to think about my work friends, and I started a new job in October, so I really pulled that information through. Yeah, it was really fun sketchnoting that particular podcast because I was like, this is awesome. It's the science of making friends.
I'll make sure to add the video of the sketchnote that you shared. And
oh yes,
yeah, I think I have it up here. It's called the HBR Idea Cast, episode 755 with Shasta and Nelson.
Yes, that one.
Cool. Looking at it, even looking at the notes, and I feel like I see what you mean, just like from the different diagrams.
You know what? I think it was really cool because she broke down something that we all kind of take for granted or feel like it's just really natural when you make friends with people. Just like how like I studied linguistics at university, right? And every time people ask what's linguistics, and I say it's like the science of language. I think a lot of people feel like, especially with your first language, can't really explain it to somebody else. Like if I asked you to explain the rules of your first language, you would struggle because it's so natural to you. But it's the same thing with making friends. Sometimes something that feels so natural, there's often a science behind how it all works. So I loved what she did.
Cool.
I also, complete separate thought, we should have established whether, because I know in some games of Scrabble, you can't put words next to each other unless they two spell.
Yep, a word. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like this is one game counting that.
Yeah, you could just like throw whatever words and see what works.
Oh my gosh, I wish I had known this sooner. It's okay, it's not bad at all.
No worries, take your time.
Cool.
But yeah, I've seen several of your sketch notes, and a few of them I got really obsessed with. But yeah, because I think I got really into the kick of podcasts when, especially, I was working from home, and obviously you don't interact with your colleagues, so I feel like I needed the background chat of people talking and discussing and stuff. So I just started putting on random comedic podcasts, also like more poetic podcasts like the Anthropocene Reviewed, which I'm a huge fan of.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
What's that about?
It's basically someone reviewing everything Anthropocene in a 5-star scale. So
okay.
Give
me an example.
God, I'm trying to think. One of his review was the pandemic, which was quite timely, and he spoke about the history about pandemics. Oh God, I did not prepare this at all. It's various things. He did a review of Taco Bell and about the food and about the history of Taco Bell and how Taco Bell is far inferior than the original Mexican restaurant that it was inspired based on. And then things like the Lascaux Museum, and God, there is a great video by Kazat, which I'll put in the description below, that based on his review of the Lascaux Museum, and it's just beautifully written, poetic reviews of anything related to humans in general.
Very cool. I have to listen to them. I feel like I go down a path of like listening to a certain kind of podcast, have my fix, stopped. Listen to some, have my fix, stopped. I am really bad at sticking to one podcast through and through, but then again, there's so many amazing podcasts out there. How am I ever going to do them all? Which I think in reality, I will never do them all, right? So I'll never do it. I shall give that a listen and a try.
In my last chat with Demi, she went into this in-depth discussion about the K-pop and Chinese dramas that she's been watching, and I was like, this is probably a stark contrast to the media your sister's consuming, which is you.
Yes, so if anyone's watching, sister is Demi, and yes, it's not even K-pop. I think it's like K-drama. I don't know what the term is, but yes, she's extremely passionate about it, and she picked up Korean watching K-drama.
Really? Wow.
Very cool. Yeah, no, she would just say a few things, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. Yeah, but I love it though, because that means we have such a variety of conversation. Tell me, like, have you seen this show? And I'll be like, no. She's good. She's good.
Yeah, she went on this really long spiel about this one specific dude, so I won't bring it up again. If you want, you can watch that episode.
Oh, no, not at all. Don't worry.
Yeah, it was just, it was fun, but it made me think that, in terms of media, would you say podcast is the one that you've consumed the most, or do you still like just randomly binge Netflix, or is there anything else?
Oh my gosh, me and media, I suppose we're like, myself and media, okay. It's so funny, right? I used to work in media and advertising, and then I went from media and advertising to digital, and yet, like as in digital design, and yet I find that I do not consume media the way I think my friends do. I don't have a Netflix account. I mean, I have sub accounts offered to me by both my sister and my boyfriend, which I don't often use. Although during lockdown, I definitely made full use of Netflix. But aside from that, I suppose podcasts are my favorite. I'm trying to go back to books actually, because I feel like I really miss the act of reading a book quietly. But I think unfortunately because of technology, I struggle with keeping my attention towards one thing without getting distracted. I don't know if you're feeling the same. Yeah, it's really hard.
I do.
I mean, we say this, try to multitask, so.
I bought books in the middle of the lockdown last year, and I swear I haven't touched it. One of it was like a book, I can't remember. It's a book about Tokyo, Japan. It might be specifically Tokyo. And it's just a really graphically drawn book. Well, not drawn. It's a really interesting book about Tokyo, and it shares like some of the hidden cafes, restaurants, even the architecture around it. And I got really enticed by all the graphical images shown in the book. But I did not read it at all.
It's hard, right? I feel like reading, especially after, I don't know, the boom of like the early 2000s or the 2010s. I feel like, and I work in like user experience design. Anything I counter now, I can tell is trying to retain my attention in app or whatnot. Really gripes with me, because I know that means I will really struggle with focusing consciously on certain things, which makes it really difficult, right? You get really used to jumping and switching and context switching. Oh my gosh, context switching is a big problem for me. But yeah, and I mean, I think, whoa, okay. Good. I also finally understand how this timer works and how the points work. But now I feel like I totally get this now. Sorry, I sound like I'm playing Scrabble for the first time, which I am into some degree. I don't think I've ever finished a full Scrabble before,
really?
So this will be really fun.
This will be a first.
I don't know how. It will be a first.
Oh, there we go.
We're like down to what? How?
I didn't know ES was a word, by the way. But
that's why I'm like, how did you even make that work?
I just click the done button, see if it fits.
Secret person who knows how to work. Work.
Oh, there was one other game that we tried to play, and it was checkers.
Oh yes. Actually, you know what? I wonder how much more difficult that would have been, because that doesn't have any words, right? It's just strategies. I wonder if that would have been easier.
I think it might have been, but I did try and play checkers. It was really short.
Oh yes, that is true. That is true.
Well, you got hog. Mm.
I did have Hog. Actually, another game I played with a friend, a really good friend of mine. Her name is Liza. She plays a version of Scrabble. It's called Bananagrams. Yes, I have definitely tried that. Except Eliza is one of the most, like, she's one of the smartest, most switched on, eloquent human being I've ever met in my life. So she'll come up with words that are beyond me. But you know, it's really, really fun, especially for new. But we never finish a full game. And definitely, it's not like Scrabble at all. It's just doing exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah. I feel like even if someone has a strong vocabulary and they're quite eloquent, they will still need some level of like strategic thinking on how to fit the words in, especially that corner there that we're pretty much empty right now.
Yes, I'm trying to though, and it's really hard. I say this, if Eliza's watching us right now, that you should come up with a whole bunch.
But speaking of games though, we've played board games or even like party games together before.
We have. I feel like maybe it's adulthood. Maybe I've just stopped, but I really want to get better at it. Like, I want to get better at being a child again. Not that games are only for children, but I don't know. Maybe it's just adult life that kicks in and oh my gosh, how have you done this?
At this point, we could just squeeze in whatever two-letter words we could find, but...
Tell me about it.
Oh, your time's gonna run out.
No, it is. Yes, it worked.
Oh, what? AX?
I know. Yes!
Oh boy.
This is like when you wish you knew all the two-letter words in the dictionary.
True. No, I mean, no one ever sits down and just read all the two-letter words and what goes where.
You say this. I wouldn't be surprised if someone did.
Really?
Well, I'm sure someone
would.
would.
Yeah, that's true.
Get out of time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, there is overtime?
Ooh.
Wait, you get 1 more minute with 10 penalty points. They have penalty points? What? Okay. VO isn't a thing.
Although, you know what? Acronym it is, because that's voiceover.
Yeah, that's true.
This is horrible. Like, especially when you speak two languages, or know acronyms or slang. I really find Scrabble hard because I mix up acronyms and whatnot with it. I'm gonna try my luck with this and see if this works. Yes, it works!
What? QI?
It does work! Yes, okay, there are certain, like, two-letter words. Of course, oh my gosh.
Got C and so, by the way.
So now what? How does the game end?
I don't know. I think it's when all the tiles run out?
That can't be right.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't seem like it. Oh, here you go. When the minute expires, they will forfeit on time.
This is very, very stressful.
AI, okay. That's an acronym too, isn't it? Artificial intelligence.
It's an acronym. I'm not gonna lie. If you saw what I was trying to do, I was pretty much like going AJ, nope. AO, nope. A.
Just like shove words in between just to see what it fits.
It really is. How else? Okay, you know what? If we did this all over again, this would. Okay, you know what? Kind of just. I would be totally. This is me admitting defeat to competition.
Good game.
Yay! Wow. Okay, that was interesting.
I like the fact that we didn't use like a whole third of the board there.
Now, okay, this is what Scrabble's like. Okay, maybe I see the point in doing it again. I get it now.
We might have to end it there. Perhaps we could do this again another time.
For sure.
Oh,
thanks for including me.
That I did have an idea about doing a couples thing. So with you and Vince and me and Shireen. If you're interested, we could try and do that next time.
Sure. Vince is the absolute opposite of me. He is very good at video games and he's very quick and very fast and very competitive.
Okay.
We're the absolute opposite, so it'll be quite comical actually.
I've thought about the game. So it's not a board specific thing like this.
Okay.
It's about basically how well you guys know each other. So that's a teaser. So for next future episode, we'll see. But before we end, is there anything you want to plug or shout out or say?
Really, that this was really fun and can be in your 30s and in your life properly. As always, the first time for everything.
Sure. I'm happy to be the first person you played a full round of Scrabble with. I'm honored.
I actually really think you are the first person to play Scrabble with properly. So this is very exciting. I was pretty nervous. I now know I can't multitask while I play at the same time.
Oh, we did well.
It was really fun. So, here's to trying new things in 2021.
All right, cool. Bye.
Oh, bye.